Welcome back. Now we're here with Joda Thongnopnua of WayPaver and Tia Capps of the company lab. And they're going to talk about Chattanooga Startup Week and the Innovation Delegation. So Tia, why don't we start off by having you tell us what those terms mean?
Sure. So Startup Week is a showcase of Chattanooga's startup community. So it's going to take place from October the 6th through 11th. And the idea behind it is to bring entrepreneurs and startup supporters together to share their knowledge with one another, and then also to celebrate the resources and the culture of entrepreneurship here in our city.
And Joda, why don't you kind of finish that thought? Tell us about the culture of entrepreneurship here.
For sure, yeah. I think I just got recently finished explaining this to a couple of different people, and the really exciting thing about Chattanooga is there's a spirit of cooperation here that you really can't find anywhere else. And so I think what Chattanooga Startup Week and Innovation Delegation are trying to do are both highlight that and also find areas where we can improve. And I think that those two things together are kind of what Chattanooga Startup Week and Innovation Delegation are all about.
Well, it's exciting.
It absolutely is. And one of the questions we have, of course, we think a lot about this at the Chamber with our incubator and other things, but what distinction do you draw between a small business and a startup?
Yeah, I think startups typically don't want to be called small businesses. I think they are always shooting to be the biggest kid on the block, and I think that's what it comes down to. I think small businesses have an important role to play in our community. They are the lifeblood of what drives a city. They employ quite a few people, but startups, they're always aiming to be not only a big part of their own community, but a big part of the national conversation as well.
So a sense of scalability.
Yeah,
these are young businesses with the potential to grow tremendously is the goal.
That's where I would say.
Right, and just to add to that, I would say startups always going to be a high growth potential company that's seeking seed capital. They're not well suited for traditional forms of capital from banks or other lending institutions, usually because they need a lot more. So that's one of the biggest differences when we look down to the nitty-gritty about what makes a small business and what makes a startup. It's kind of what they're looking for.
And obviously one of the reasons we invited you today is to help get the word out and for people that are interested in this to know about it. So what do they need to do? If anybody who's watching this today and who wants to get involved, how do they do that?
For sure. So I think the way to get involved in Innovation Delegation is actually really easy. And to kind of explain what it is, we're inviting a group of 10 people to the city of Chattanooga to fly out during Chattanooga Startup Week to see what our startup ecosystem actually looks like. And it's going to be a really exciting program that we're launching, but we're looking for 10 really bright minds from outside of our community to come in and really understand what that infrastructure looks like and ways that we can improve it. So we're looking for people that have done something particularly innovative in their career. And if you go to innovationdelegation.org and there's an apply button there if you are from outside of the community and you want to check out what Chattanooga is all about, or at the bottom there's a place where you could nominate other people that you think that that are really bright and should be in Chattanooga anyways.
Well, that's great. And T, I'm always, we got another opportunity here for you to kind of explain a little bit about WayPaver. I think a lot of people, or for you, excuse me, a lot of people hear that, but aren't really sure of what it is. So can you help us understand that?
WayPaver is an innovation lab entirely dedicated to solving complex problems in Chattanooga. And I think the first problem we've decided to tackle over these next 2 years is the talent problem. And so while we have a lot of really great startups and small businesses here in Chattanooga, we talked about the scaling potential, and scaling traditionally has been something that most companies would want to go to a Silicon Valley or New York to go and try and do, but we're trying to address that problem and saying you can scale in a mid-sized city. And so we're trying to figure out what are the potential ways and experiments we need to conduct to figure out how to grow a company from inside Chattanooga.
One of the most interesting things to me about this event is it's not really owned and hosted Startup Week by one entity. Can you talk a little bit about how it's organized?
Sure, yeah. We kind of look at Startup Week as sort of a main times 24 for startups and entrepreneurs in our area. So we're actually asking local organizations or local entities to apply to host an event as part of Startup Week. And we're organizing Startup Week into 3 tracks. And those 3 tracks are divided into areas that we believe represent Chattanooga's entrepreneurial strengths, and then also opportunities we think we need to continue building upon to become a stronger startup ecosystem. So those areas are tech, and then we have creative, and then we have social.
That's awesome, Tia. And unfortunately, we have to wrap up, but if people want more information about Startup Week, they can check it out online and let us know if they want to host an event.
You can visit www.startupweekchad.com.
Thank you. Thanks for joining us, and we'll be back with a discussion of the Chamber's recent membership event right after this break.